What happens when the people who raised you, the people who taught you right from wrong, smile across a candlelit table and quietly expect you to sacrifice your future for their comfort? Before this story goes any further, pause for just 1 second. If you're drawn to real, raw, dramatic stories like this, subscribe to Channel Roots of Revenge right now, hit like, and drop a comment. Trust me, you're going to want to stay for this. The restaurant looked like something out of a movie. Soft gold lighting, marble floors, the kind of place where the waiters speak in whispers and the menus don't have prices. A pianist played slow, deliberate notes in the corner, and every sound felt expensive. I sat there in my best jacket, posture straight, smile practiced, already feeling like I didn't belong. My parents, on the other hand, looked perfectly at home. My mother leaned back in her chair, swirling a deep red wine in her glass like she was tasting victory. "This place is divine," she said, eyes sparkling. "We should come here more often." My father nodded, adjusting his cufflinks. "Quality like this costs money," he said proudly, as if he were the one paying. I forced a small laugh. My stomach was already tight. This dinner was their idea. They'd called me earlier in the week saying they missed me, saying it would be nice to spend time together. No mention of money, no hints, just smiles and nostalgia. The waiter returned again. Another dish. Truffle something I couldn't pronounce. My mother didn't even look at the price when she ordered dessert, 2 of them, then coffee, then a second bottle of wine. I watched the total climb in my head, every number stacking like bricks on my chest. "You're awfully quiet," my father said, glancing at me. "I'm just enjoying the atmosphere," I lied. In truth, I was counting. Rent, utilities, groceries, the fragile savings I'd built up after years of working overtime and saying no to myself. I hadn't come here planning to spend any of it. My mother reached across the table and patted my hand. "It's so nice now that you're doing well for yourself," she said sweetly. "All grown up?" Something about the way she said it made my skin prickle. The meal dragged on, laughter rising and falling, stories from the past rewritten to make them sound generous, heroic. I nodded when expected, smiled when required. All the while, a quiet dread settled deeper into my bones. Then the music slowed. The plates were cleared. The candles burned low. The waiter approached one final time, his movements careful, respectful. He placed the bill on the table, not between all of us, directly in front of me. My father didn't even look at it. He leaned back, exhaled contentedly, and said, "Well, that was worth it." My mother smiled at me. "Go ahead, sweetheart." I stared at the check. The number didn't feel real. It felt like a mistake, a joke, a test. "Go ahead?" I repeated softly. My father finally met my eyes. "You've got this, right?" The room seemed to shrink. The pianist's notes blurred into noise. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. I didn't know I was paying," I said carefully, like stepping on glass. My mother's smile stiffened. "Oh, don't be dramatic. You're young, you're working, you don't have real responsibilities yet." That was when I understood. This dinner was never about family. It was about expectation. And in that moment, with the bill staring up at me like an accusation, I realized this night was about to change everything. The silence after my words felt heavier than the bill itself. My parents exchanged a look, one I'd seen my entire life. The silent agreement, the unspoken handle it. My father leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. His voice stayed calm, but it carried that familiar edge. "You make more money now. This shouldn't be a problem." A few nearby tables had gone quiet. I could feel eyes flicking toward us, curiosity sharpening. I swallowed, my throat dry. "It is a problem," I said, "because no one asked me." My mother let out a soft, dismissive laugh. "Oh, please. We raised you. This is the least you can do." "The least." I looked down at my hands, remembering all the times I'd stretched paychecks, all the nights I'd skipped dinners so I could afford textbooks, all the times I'd heard, "Figure it out yourself." Back then, help was a luxury I wasn't offered. "I'll pay for my own meal," I said slowly, "but I'm not paying for everything." My father's jaw tightened. "Don't start this here." "Here?" I repeated. "You mean in public?" My mother leaned in, lowering her voice, but the sharpness cut through the soft music. "Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is?" The irony almost made me laugh. The waiter hovered nearby, pretending to straighten a napkin that was already straight. He glanced at the bill, then at me, then at my parents. No one moved. "I didn't agree to this," I said again, louder this time. My heart pounded, but I didn't back down. "You can't just decide how my money gets spent." My father's hand slapped the table. Not hard enough to break anything, but loud enough to turn heads. A fork clattered. Someone gasped. "We are your parents," he snapped. "You owe us respect." Respect. That word echoed in my head. Respect had always meant obedience, silence, paying the price without complaint. "I respect you," I said, standing my ground, "but I won't be used." My mother's face flushed. "Used? After everything we sacrificed for you?" Her voice cracked, not with sadness, but with anger. The kind that comes when control slips through your fingers. A woman at the next table leaned back in her chair, openly watching now. A man across the room stopped mid-bite. The pianist missed a note, then kept playing, softer. The waiter finally spoke. "I can split the check if that helps." "No," my mother said sharply. "Yes," I said at the exact same time. We locked eyes. For a moment, it felt like a standoff that had been building my entire life. "I'm paying for what I ordered," I told the waiter, pulling my card from my wallet. My hands shook, but I didn't hide it. "That's all." My father stared at me like I'd just betrayed him. "You're really going to do this?" "I already am." The waiter nodded and disappeared, relief written all over his face. My mother crossed her arms. "Don't expect us to forget this." I met her gaze. "I don't expect you to." The check came back, split cleanly down the middle. My portion was manageable. Theirs was not. They stared at the remaining total in silence. I signed the receipt, stood up, and slipped my coat on. My legs felt weak, but something inside me felt solid for the first time. As I turned to leave, my father muttered, "You've changed." I paused, looked back at them, and said quietly, "No. I've finally stopped pretending." And then I walked out, leaving the luxury, the tension, and years of unspoken resentment behind me. The cold air outside hit my face like a slap, sharp and clean, as if the night itself was trying to wake me up. I stood there on the sidewalk for a moment, staring at my reflection in the dark glass of the restaurant windows. My hands were still shaking. My heart was still racing. But underneath it all, there was something unfamiliar, relief. Inside, I could still hear muffled voices. My parents were arguing now. I didn't need to hear the words to know what they were saying. I'd heard those tones my entire life. Blame dressed up as disappointment, anger disguised as concern. A couple stepped out behind me, whispering. The woman glanced at me, then back through the window. "That was intense," she said softly, almost apologetic. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a text message. My mother. "You humiliated us." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. A dozen replies rushed through my mind. Explanations, defenses, apologies I didn't mean. I deleted them all. I slid the phone back into my pocket and walked away. I didn't get far before another buzz, then another. Missed calls. Voicemails piling up like accusations. When I finally got home, I dropped my keys on the counter and sank onto the couch, the silence wrapping around me. My phone lit up again, this time a voicemail from my father. His voice was tight, controlled. "You made a scene. People were watching. This makes us look bad. You need to fix this." Fix it. Like it was a stain I'd spilled on their reputation. I didn't respond. The next morning, everything changed. I woke up to messages from friends I hadn't spoken to in months. "Is this you?" one asked. Another said, "I think you're going viral." Confused, I opened social media. There it was. A shaky video filmed from across the restaurant. My voice, my parents' voices. The bill on the table. The moment I stood up. The caption read, "When parents expect their kid to foot a luxury dinner bill." The comments were already in the thousands. "She did nothing wrong. Parents aren't entitled to their kids' money. This takes courage." But mixed in were others. "Family is family. You owe your parents everything. So disrespectful." I felt exposed, stripped bare. A private moment turned public spectacle. By noon, the video had been reposted everywhere. Reaction channels, podcasts, people stitching their own stories underneath mine. My mother called again. This time I answered. "What have you done?" she demanded, skipping any greeting. "I didn't post it," I said quietly. "That doesn't matter," she snapped. "People are talking about us. Do you know how this looks?" I almost laughed. "You're worried about how it looks?" She went silent for a beat. Then colder, "You need to make a statement. Say it was a misunderstanding." I closed my eyes. It wasn't. She hung up. That afternoon, the restaurant released a comment online. They confirmed the incident. They said no guest should ever feel pressured to pay. The staff had my back. Strangers did too. Messages flooded in from people who'd lived the same story. Parents who demanded. Families who assumed. Guilt passed down like an inheritance. For the first time, I didn't feel alone. And somewhere in the noise, I realized the fight at that table had never really been about money. It was about finally being heard. By the end of the week, the story had outgrown me. Morning shows debated it. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. Some called me brave, others called me selfish. My parents stayed silent now, their names dragged into conversations they couldn't control. Friends told me they'd seen my face blurred out on clips, my voice unmistakable. Then my father finally reached out again. Not with anger this time, with distance. "We need space," his message read. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. "I understand." And I did. Because in that space, something unexpected happened. I slept better. I stopped flinching when my phone buzzed. I felt lighter, like I'd put down a weight I didn't realize I'd been carrying my entire life. The restaurant buzz faded, but the conversations didn't. People kept sharing their stories under the video, parents demanding rent, expecting expensive gifts, using guilt as currency. The audience reaction was overwhelming. Some thanked me for saying what they never could. Others admitted they'd been on the other side and were rethinking everything. A follow-up clip surfaced days later. Someone had filmed the aftermath inside the restaurant. My parents arguing with the manager calmly insisting on boundaries, the crowd watching in silence. That clip shifted the tone. Public opinion turned sharply. The narrative wasn't about disrespect anymore. It was about entitlement. My parents never apologized, but they stopped asking. And for the first time, that felt like closure. I learned something through all of this. Family doesn't mean surrender. Love doesn't mean silence. And boundaries aren't betrayal, they're honesty. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been put in a position where family expected more than they had a right to? Do you think I did the right thing? Or would you have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more raw, emotional, and explosive stories like this, subscribe to Channel Roots of Revenge right now. Because sometimes standing up for yourself is the most dramatic moment of all.